So, Faraway Lucas, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the one and only Charles Xavier.
Hell yeah, Patrick Stewart, let's go. So Faraway Lucas, as you often do, would you like to let the audience at home know specifically what we're talking about today and where we're getting our information from?
Yeah, we are on the Marvel Wiki once again, and we're talking about Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X.
Yes, and we'll start, as we often do, at the beginning, which begins with the real name of Dr. Charles Xavier, or Xavier, because did you know that, Lucas? Xavier is actually supposed to be pronounced Xavier, you don't pronounce the X.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I'm like, fuck off, no, it's Xavier, it sounds way too cool that way.
Yeah, because he's Professor X, it's Charles Xavier.
But that name is actually supposed to be pronounced Xavier, which sounds way less cool, and I'm glad that the X-Men series has changed the pronunciation of that name. Anyway, real name, Dr. Charles Francis Xavier. Then we have his status, identity, public identity, citizenship, American and Krakoan, marital status, single, previous marriage annulled, occupation, adventurer, mutant leader, mutants' rights activist, geneticist, former headmaster, teacher, heir, and soldier. Education, so he has PhDs in genetics, biophysics, psychology, anthropology, and psychiatry, all from Oxford University and Columbia University, respectively. His undergrad studies were conducted at Harvard, where he graduated with honours at the age of 16.
Fucking hell.
Characteristics: gender, male, height 6 feet or 1.83 metres, weight 190 pounds, eyes blue, hair blonde, formerly bald in his original body. And I don't like that. I'm not sure what happened in the comics, but Professor X is fucking bald.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of him not being bald. And why has he got a new body?
I'm presuming he died and then came back, but Professor X is fucking bald. Just like Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is fucking bald.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how stupid you'd have to be to have Lex Luthor with hair. God. I'm glad we don't have a movie like that anyway. Anyway, the wiki entry continues with a quote from the man himself, and that is, "Any dream worth having is a dream worth fighting for." God, that's so fucking good.
That is strong.
That's such a strong quote. You can see why he becomes such a revered leader of the X-Men and of mutants as a whole. And my other favourite quote of his is, "To me, my X-Men," and I will never stop being pissed off that we never got that in the live-action X-Men movies.
Yeah, because we got like the Avengers Assemble, but we never got To Me, My X-Men.
As well, how flaccid in retrospect was the final Avengers Assemble in Endgame, where Captain America whispers it to himself and everyone just like, yeah, I guess we're going to run now.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of flaccid when you think about it, isn't it? It's like Avengers, and then he says it under his breath. It's like, Cap, there's like 8,000 people here, you kind of need to speak up.
What was that?
I was expecting it to proper scream that line and then go Super Saiyan 3, like in my fan fiction. But anyway, and we'll skip past all the boring stuff, such as biography and history, because it just covers Charles Xavier's near 50 years in the comic books, which we don't have time to get into right now. So let's skip straight to powers and abilities. Powers. Charles Xavier is an alpha-level mutant, so he's not quite as powerful as some of the other mutants we've covered on the channel so far. Is it Omega-level mutant? Is like they are a potential Earth threat?
I believe so, and like, yeah, it's weird that Charles is like, I guess the counterpart to Magneto, but a rung lower on the level of power that he has in the like mutant scale.
Yeah, which is weird. It's like in the movies and in all the movies, they always like downplay how powerful a lot of the heroes are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame, because I'd like to see some of the cool shit they do in the comics in the movie. But anyway, when Professor X is connected to Magneto, he gives every human on Earth a seizure at once. And I'm going to guess that he's capable of feats similar to that in the comics, if not greater. And the fact he's not a worldwide threat when he can give every person on Earth a seizure at the exact same time, that sounds like a scary dude. So let's find out what's going on here, shall we? So it's Charles Xavier is an alpha-level mutant said to possess the most powerful brain in existence. That's a hell of a shout line, that, isn't it? That's a Tinder pickup line right there. I have the most powerful brain in existence. Who said that? Magneto, that guy who runs his own floating country. Got it. He's also said to be the world's greatest telepath, and he possesses vast psionic powers. Anyway, telepathy. Xavier is able to read minds, project his own thoughts into the minds of others within a radius of 250 miles.
It's pretty strong.
So he can read minds up to 250 miles away. That's pretty good. With great effort, he can greatly extend that radius. When synced with Cerebro or Cerebra, Really? They made another Cerebro and give it a new name. Also, do you know in one of the comics, Cerebro gained intelligence and became a,
Oh, of course, that was
a
going to happen
hero?
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It became self-aware and started fighting people. Anyway, he can connect to every mind on the planet. After he was thrown into the M-Cran crystal, it not only restored his mutation, but made his telepathy more powerful than it had been previously, thereby making him the world's most powerful telepath once again. So he must have lost his powers at some point and then regained them. But in this entry, they don't tell you that he lost them, just that he got them back.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, oh, when he was thrown into crystal, he got his powers back. When did he lose them?
It doesn't matter, Lucas, it doesn't matter. We skip that part so we can talk about the cool shit. And what follows is a small, incomplete list of the things he can do using those aforementioned psionic abilities. And they include telepathic illusions. So Charles has the ability to create realistic telepathic illusions and cause people to experience events which are not actually occurring. And there's some really scary stuff that he's capable of doing with that. The worst one for me is that he can make people feel like they're on fire.
Oh, no.
Because he can make you feel the mental pain. Pain's just in your mind, isn't it?
How terrifying would that be? Not only experiencing that, but then when he lets you go, you like look around and it's like, oh my God.
The worst part about it is though, because it doesn't actually kill you, you can experience it for a lot longer than you would if it was actually being set on fire. And you can experience it forever. So that's probably good. It's probably a good thing he's a good guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he can do that. Telepathic cloak. Charles Xavier can mask his presence from being detected by others. His abilities could at times go undetected or be counteracted by more powerful telepaths depending on their level of skill. He can extend these defenses to others around him as well, which you see in the movies. And it's one of like those really cool scenes where it's the president's in his office and all the mutants come in.
Oh yeah, and he's just like, do not fuck with us.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be like delivering a message of peace at that point, but that's really scary.
It's terrifying, that scene.
Because they all arrive in like full battle dress.
Mm-hmm.
And say, we'd mean you no harm. It's like you snuck into the Oval Office and you've got a guy with a laser on his face staring directly at me. Please tell it to turn his head to the wall. Anyway.
It's like, we mean you no harm, but if we want to, we can cause it.
It's also as well that I think in that scene they have Nightcrawler with them. That guy at the start of the movie tried to kill the president. I get it. I represent all mutants, but maybe leave Nightcrawler at home for that particular mission.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a good look, is it? Anyway, Mind Link. Telepathic camouflage. That sounds so fucking awesome.
That does.
That sounds great. Charles is capable of masking his and or other people's presence from those around him. He can telepathically disguise himself, making his appearance to those around him quite different, changing the appearance of his clothing, as well as more involved disguise. So that means, like, Joe, if he gets like mustard on his shirt, so, oh, for fuck's sake, he can just mentally make everyone think that he's not got mustard on his shirt.
So I was thinking for a second, I was like, what's the difference between this and a cloak? But it's like, oh, so the telepathic cloak is like, people just don't notice him, but the camouflage is he changes his appearance.
And he can appear to be somebody else if he so chooses.
Mm-hmm.
Which is terrifying. Oh, Mind Blast. Lucas, do you want to know what a Mind Blast is?
Do you like make like an energy ball out of his brain powers or some shit?
No, a Mind Blast is when Charles places a large amount of information in another person's mind, thereby overloading it and making them suffer.
Oh no.
So, do you know when you're like really worrying because you've got so many things going on at once in your head? Imagine that times 1,000. Imagine how crippling the anxiety would be.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So I'm guessing that's just dumping all of Wikipedia into their head at once.
Well, there's no more room in this hard drive, Karl.
Do you know what I imagine that being like? Do you know when someone's computer has too many tabs open and it starts stuttering? Especially if they've got like something like Chrome where it just like fucking canes the RAM. And like you just see the computer screaming in digital agony every time they open a new tab. That's what that would be like.
Oh God.
Oh, it's just your head and it just like causes you to collapse on the floor and cry. Anyway, mind control. Xavier possesses the power to control the minds of others with mere concentration. This power could allow him to completely shut down several people's mind, making it appear as if time has stopped, which is a super cool ability of his.
That's so good.
That he is able to control your perception of reality so acutely, he can make the passage of time seem to slow completely. Mm-hmm. And that's terrifying. The fact he can do that is great. And I really want to see that in a movie one day. Because you see bits of it in the live action, like where he makes time like it's stopped for everyone. It's like, no, he's just making it so no one experiences the passage of time anymore, so they don't move and you can just leave.
Or you just get the one in Logan where he just overloads everyone's brain and they can't move.
Yeah, and even Wolverine, whose body is constantly regenerating, even he's in agony trying to move.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god.
Bear in mind, that is canonically the same guy who walked through the Phoenix Force.
Yep.
And he walks through the Phoenix Force faster and with less effort than he does through like Charles Xavier's just mind explosion.
I think that's one movie that doesn't really show the limits of his powers, but contextualizes like, oh yeah, if he goes off the chain a little bit, everybody around him is just fucked.
Well, they have that, don't they? They have minor references to it. It's like the Westchester incident or the Westminster incident. I forget exactly what it's called, but if people don't know, the reason there's no other X-Men in Logan is because Charles Xavier had a seizure and killed them all.
That's what's implied, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the filmmakers have confirmed like that's what happened. Like Xavier had a seizure, killed everybody on the X-Men except for Logan because obviously he's fucking Logan. He survives anything. Mm-hmm. And that's when he realised I'm too dangerous and he self-isolated himself. Which is a very responsible thing to do if you're ill.
It is, isn't it?
It is. It's very responsible to self-isolate if you think that you may be a danger to other people or those who are vulnerable. But before we move on from talking about that scene, can we just mention that one guy who has potentially one of the most terrifying deaths in any piece of fiction? And that is where he's still conscious while he's being frozen in place by Xavier. Mm-hmm. He's still conscious, but he's evidently in agony as like just his mind is being overloaded with psychic energy. And he can see Wolverine crawling towards him from down the hallway. And he just very slowly puts the knives into his head. It's like, that guy has so much time to see what's happening. It's fucking terrifying. Anyway.
Oh God.
Just think about that. You can see, like, he looks over and sees Wolverine coming. And he's like, no, God, no, not again.
I need to move.
Mental amnesia. He can cause loss of particular memories or total amnesia in another person or in a group of people.
Oh God. So he can just like Men in Black it, can't he?
Yeah, he has that ability. He has the neuralizers. You just forget. Done. Psionic shield. Charles has the ability to erect a psychic shield for protection of himself and other minds, so that he could prevent the free access of the conscious and subconscious mind of anyone. So to prevent attack from other telepaths, basically. Psionic blasts. Xavier can project psionic force bolts, which have no physical effects but affect the victim's mind, so as to cause the victim pain or unconsciousness, and can even, in some cases, kill an adversary. Or to put it another way, Charles Xavier can fire psychic bolts of pure agony directly into your mind.
And just kill you.
Yeah. Or kill you, or just make you experience horrible pain for as long as he wants.
Oh, we could, yeah.
As I said, one of the scariest things is make people think they're on fire.
Fucking hell, no wonder Magneto wears that helmet.
The thing is, though, if I was Xavier and I knew that Magneto wasn't wearing his helmet, I wouldn't make him think he was on fire. I would give him a cramp in the sole of his foot. But I would do it specifically when he was trying to walk downstairs.
You know what I think I'd do? Like, instead of, mentally setting them on fire, I think I'd just make it sound like there was a wasp next to your ear at all times.
Oh, that's so good. It's that feeling of when a wasp or a fly just goes right past the top of your ear. And just make every 30 seconds, just make him think that's happening to him.
Just for the rest of his fucking life.
And then as well, make it constantly feel like the balls are stuck to the inside of the leg.
Oh.
Regardless of how free balling they are. Because that's another one that's super annoying. That's a rough one, that, isn't it? And then, as well, because fuck it, make them feel like they constantly need to just pee.
Oh, God.
Just a little bit. Not enough where you desperately need to help, but like that uncomfortableness where it's all you can think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, telekinesis. Wait, what? Professor X has shown low-level telekinetic abilities. So he's telepathic, but he has low-level telekinetic abilities, though they seemingly no longer are existent. Oh, they were apparently key to his genetics, as Cassandra Nova had the same ability and is basically a clone of Xavier. While in a newer, younger body, and empowered by Cerebro, Charles would exhibit psionic mind over matter faculties, refined enough to beckon a flash drive on Mystique's person into his hand with a gesture. So he's not that powerful. He's not like Jean Grey, where he can like lift up a bridge or like just send someone into orbit. But he can, if he wants to, get his coffee from across the room, which is probably really handy for a guy in a fucking wheelchair.
But then, like in the new like House of M shit, he's just like not in a wheelchair and wearing that big ridiculous like X helmet, and it looks stupid as fuck.
I hate that. I hate the idea. Like, he's so much cooler as a character and just from a conceptual standpoint when he's a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then he is one of the most powerful X-Men. It's
Well,
like that
I think as well, like, it's one of the points of it is like, I don't need my physical body to be able to like have a battle with you or protect myself or be intimidating. Like, I am intimidating because of my brain.
It's also as well intended as a direct counterpart to Magneto, who solves his problems through violence and fear, whereas Charles is always sitting down. Like, they're conflicting ideologies, and they're represented through their design and the way they fight and their power sets. It's like, no, fuck it, he can run now anyway. So we'll move on to abilities, because Charles Xavier is not just defined by his powers, he also has many abilities at his disposal, such as his genius intelligence. So, a natural genius, Xavier is a leading authority on genetics, mutation, and psionics. He possesses considerable expertise in other life sciences, and is highly talented in devising equipment and utilising and enhancing his own psionic powers. Also, for utilising and enhancing his own psionic powers. Xavier is also quite the masterful tactician and strategist, effectively evaluating situations and devising swift responses. He has, on numerous occasions, even fashioned long-term operations as complex as those of the adversaries, such as Sinister, Magneto, and Apocalypse. Weaknesses, his dark side. It's like, yeah, Xavier does have a dark side that he struggles to suppress. The most notable appearance of this was Onslaught, who, for non-comic nerds, was a combination of the powers and psyches and intellects of Magneto and Professor X. And before you ask, yes, it was OP as shit. We'll cover it in another Wiki weekend at some point. And then we'll end on trivia. We have here that Xavier's favourite book is known from the Extinction Agenda storyline to be T.H. White's The Once and Future King. Magneto, who apparently shares Xavier's passion for that novel, can be seen reading it at the beginning of X2 while in prison.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, what a neat little reference. Xavier is a billionaire with a net worth of approximately $3.5 billion.
Fucking hell.
Well, he's pretty rich. Apparently, he inherits it all from his family. He comes from a very wealthy family. And he uses all the money to fund Xavier's school for gifted students, as well as, like, mutants' rights and things like that.
Like, I knew he had, obviously the nice X-Men estate where they all go and study in that. But God.
It's the Xavier estate. It's his whole family estate, and he turns it into a school. And again, that just serves to highlight the inherent differences between Magneto and Xavier. Because Magneto was a child born during the Holocaust who grew up in a fucking concentration camp and has seen the worst humanity had to offer. What did Charles Xavier do when he was younger? Oh, he lived in a giant palatial estate that his family owned, and he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
It's no wonder he's got a more optimistic view on life than
maybe.
than Magneto.